use these for acid indigestion.
So what are we going to use these for?
Intimidation.
What is going on? Happy Football Sunday. Barfy here. And unfortunately, Monahan cannot make it today, so you're stuck with me. Monahan's gearing up for his wedding this week, and unfortunately, he actually has to put down one of his animals. That's a shame. Not only to say goodbye to one of their pets, but unfortunately, you're now stuck with me. So we're going to try this out. We are gearing up for our, which will be debuting probably next week, a Very Barfy Christmas. So make sure to check that out. It should be interesting. All of us gathered around, not zapping each other with dog collars or anything. But, so that's why we're a little festive over here. But getting down to the nitty gritty on why we're here for fantasy football, it's playoff time now. So what I'm doing since Monahan is not here, I'm taking a few names per position because I'm not as well learned as Monahan when it comes to this stuff. He is my my swami when it comes to it, So moving into this, it's football time, and my thoughts. It's actually, as much as this COVID's fucking up the season, it's kind of making it interesting too, seeing certain teams starting to crawl up out of nowhere, like the Giants. What the hell was that? And certain quarterbacks, you think they wouldn't go down, and the next thing you know, there's some tight end that becomes a quarterback. Now, for those guys who are doing that, who have Taysom Hill as a tight end, he's not a tight end anymore. They've changed him to they changed him to a quarterback. So sorry about your luck there. So we'll talk about a tight end you guys could use later on. So let's just get into the recaps. So last week I had Ryan Tannehill. I said, here's Ryan Tannehill, 29 completions, 389 yards, 26.7 points. And, well done indeed. And thank you there. Thank you there, Kaylee, who will be joining us for a Very Barfy Christmas, I believe. She makes it out on time. So thank you. Miles Sanders. Monahan said it. Don't pick Eagles players. What did I do? I picked 2 Eagles players, and they both were garbage. Miles Sanders with 10 attempts, 31 yards, 3.1 points. Way to go. You're worthless. Brandon Cooks, 5 receptions, 65 yards, 6.5 points. Very well. Good job, you piece of shit. Phillip Rivers. I said last week I figured he's going to have a good game. When it gets near the end of the season, he starts coming out of left field and actually doing what he should be doing as a quarterback. 27 completions, 285 yards for 19 points. Good job. And I got to correct myself with Ryan Tannehill. He had 33 points. Certain sites say certain things. So that being said, I messed up on that one. My mistake. So moving right along with this. Give me 1 second here. Doing double duty. I'm used to having Monahan here to help me, and it's not working so well. Way to go. Good job. So I'm going to put it as Monahan's choice. So Monahan's must stars, I'm going to call it, is Taysom Hill. Taysom Hill, however you want to say his damn name. He's against Philly. You're playing Philly today, so you got to be real about it. He's going to at least have one more start until Breeze comes back. So this is the perfect game for him to look like a freaking rock star. Breeze is out with a rib injury, and it's a good thing for you fantasy guys. It gives he's a nice surprise, and he's a good fantasy asset over the whole month through the whole season and through the past 3 games he's played, scoring at least 23 points in 2 of those outings. He finally threw a touchdown pass against Atlanta. He ran for at least 44 yards in all 3 starts with 4 rushing touchdowns over that span. And the Eagles have allowed big games to the running quarterbacks this year. They're, including Lamar Jackson, who had 9 carries and 108 yards and a touchdown. Daniel frickin' Jones from the Giants. 13 carries, 156 yards, and a touchdown in both those games. Good job. Way to go, Philly. And once again, Hill was one of the top 10 upsides of this week. So, if you can get him, get him. If you have him, play him. Also, who for another quarterback you could use for that first start would be Ryan Tannehill. Now, this is the guy who I feel you should start. I feel this. Even though last week it was an embarrassment, as they do in Letterkenny, it's a fucking embarrassment against Cleveland. What was it? Titans were embarrassed in Week 13 against the Browns, 41-35 loss at home. But don't worry about that, because you're probably not a Tennessee fan and you're probably not a Browns fan. So for fantasy people, this is a perfect game for you. It was ugly performance from a playoff caliber team like Tennessee, but for you fantasy managers, it was a great game. He scored 23 points, and we don't care about the actual score of the football game. We just want Tannehill to play well, and he did. 389 passing yards, 3 touchdowns, and 1 interception. It happens. I mean, it's not like you're Carson Wentz. And this week against Jacksonville, the first time they played Jacksonville was a 33-30 victory. And Tannehill had 34 points that game too. So we'll make that a little bit bigger. He also scored 36. Oh yeah. Last year he scored 36 points against Jacksonville in one of the meetings. Jacksonville's the number 2 team in touchdowns, allowed the quarterbacks to and 6 quarterbacks in a row have passed for at least 2 touchdowns against Jaguar, Baker Mayfield and Kirk Cousins. Baker Mayfield, he's an all right eye player, not much. Cousins, they both scored at least 22 points against them. So in Week 14, you're walking away with at least 20 points, at least. I mean, that's like you're saying, like, he has a bad day. So that's how I feel with all of that. Moving on. Oh, comments. Comments. What are the comments like? And thank you for the hoodie. Very nice hoodie. I'm not sponsored by them, but I'll take free swag when I got free swag. Moving on. So JD McKissick for your running back. I would have listed him as I would list him as a sleeper for this matchup against 49ers. But if Antonio Gibson is out today, which he probably is going to be out from San Fran, because it will be treated as a starter for all the leagues and a flex for the non-PPR formats, for the standard leagues. He comes into Week 14 with at least 10 targets, 7 catches, and 3 of his past 5 games. Yeah, that's really good. That's really good. I don't expect Washington to lean on Peyton Barber. And McKissick, again, has a chance to run for double digits in targets, and I'll take a carries as well. There have been 6 running backs with at least 5 targets against the 49ers this year, and all of 6 at least have 7 points in just in in targets. That gives McKissick a chance for a nice floor to hit his targets. And to remain constant. It's one thing when you have a hot player, you got to, you want them to stay constant, because once they go cold, it's kind of like, so, moving on down. So I have Ronald Jones also. I would, since it is the playoffs now, everyone's slimming down. You only have a few people. Like I'm out. I had too many injuries, and I'll forget to actually hit the save button to put a player in, and so I'm out for the season. But these are the type of things where now you have multiple options, because people are well, yeah, sure, I'll get rid of my guys. It doesn't matter anymore. Once your season's screwed, your season's screwed. So Anywho, so Ronald Jones from Tampa Bay. Now, there's a reason why my theme for this is a lot of Tampa Bay players, and it's for multiple reasons, and it's all for the obvious reason. But Bruce Arians plans to commit to Jones. And I know he said it before and all that stuff, but this seems to be logical to lean on Jones with Tampa Bay coming off the bye week against the Vikings, who have allowed 3 total touchdowns to running backs and 2 guys to gain at least 110 total yards in their past 3 games. Jones has scored at least 16 points in 2 of his last 3 outings, and he should have a chance to have a big game here. It's a home game, and it's Minnesota, and it's whatever. I mean, that's fun. I miss Monahan. If you're watching, I miss you, bub. I don't have my mojo, my flow going today. Just cruising along. But moving on down now to the wide receivers of the aspect. I'm also I got my thing here because I'm setting up for very Barfy Christmas. I have the monitor set a little far back, and my vision is what you call utter garbage. So if you leave a comment, give me about a minute to look down so I can actually see it on my little laptop here where I'm trying to figure out which mouse is which. So moving on down, we got Corey Davis, wide receiver Corey Davis, Tennessee. Tannehill. I said got to play Tannehill. I think he's going to be a hot commodity today, just like this coffee. And Corey Davis has had a fantastic season, and he's finally performed like a standout receiver in fantasy reality. He just had a 35 points in week 13 against Cleveland, which again, it's only Cleveland, but still. And he should stay hot again this week against Jacksonville. I expect AJ Brown to be rebound as the number 1 receiver for the Titans, but Davis will still be considered a number 2 fantasy receiver in all the leagues. He's had 3 catches for 36 yards and a touchdown, 5 targets against Jacksonville in week 2. And the Jaguars have allowed 8 pairs of receivers to score at least 11 points in the same game this year. So well done indeed. But that's another thing. Now you're at this point where I know you might want to open up your field and you're thinking of that nature. But I would say if you have a good quarterback and he's got a stud wide receiver, that's who you go for. Get them points ranked up real quick. Make the guy you're playing sweat a little bit. Sweat going on like a turbo vet. So going on down. Sorry, losing my spot here. Wide receivers. Going with Dante Johnson. Now, as you might have noticed this year, I've been heavy on Pittsburgh, just in general, because they're just a stud of a team, even though I don't know how you lose to that. I'm not going to say that was an abysmal game. I don't know how you lose that. And actually, that was one of Ben Roethlisberger's lowest scoring games. I mean, he could be on a sleeper status if you want to put him on that for this week, but he just played a bad game. But that was... again, the quote Letterkenny, "It's a fucking embarrassment." So, the only fear about having Mike Johnson play is that Tomlin is like one of these type of, he's like an angry girlfriend. Oh, you dropped the ball. Well, I ain't playing you now. But so if he drops his ball against the Bill, getting mad if he drops the ball against the Bills this week, but it would be a surprise to see him benched. He's not going to get benched. He's been Roethlisberger's go-to receiver for at least with at least 10 targets in 5 games in a row, and he scored at least 12 points in each game. Over that span, including 2 games, he had more than 100 yards and 2 touchdowns. And the Niners just had 2 receivers score at least 13 points against Buffalo last week. So you should be fine. And it's going to be a shootout. It's going to be a potential shootout. So full PPR playoffs. McKissick or Gordon? Have Chubb in my single. Hey, Delusional, welcome back, man. In my single running bot spot, but not playing. This is more of a Monahan thing. I'm more for comedic relief. But I'm going to say, I didn't check Melvin Gordon's stats for the past couple of weeks. I would say go with McKissick. I don't know what's going on with Denver. Yeah, I wouldn't. Hopefully, actually, delusion. Yeah, go with McKissick on that one. And hopefully we hopefully we helped you out last week. Delusional, I really appreciate you coming back and saying hello again. Like I said, unfortunately, Monahan's not here this week because he's getting married and all that crap, so he's busy running around. But I appreciate you coming out and saying hello again, man. Really, really appreciate it. How do I get you off my screen now? Wrong mouse. There we go. But hopefully I answered your question right. I have Chubb in my single. Yeah. Not playing Jacobs. That's smart. So it's going to be a shootout of a game. As long as he, catches the ball. I know Mike gets cranky. You dropped the ball. No. You didn't call me back last night. He seems like an angry girlfriend. So instead of sleepers and redeemers, these are good backup people to pick up if, for some reason you can't get the guys that I'm suggesting. That's just how I would feel. You always got to, you got all these great quarterbacks and they're all good and it all depends on what team they're playing, kind of like betting and all that stuff. You just got to, right quarterback for the right team that they're playing against to get the most points. It's the whole mind game. So, Justin Herbert from the Chargers. He was awful last week. We know this against the Patriots, just 4 fantasy points, but he has a combined for 22 points in the past 2 games against Buffalo and New England, and he should bounce back this week against the Falcons. They're number 1 in fantasy points allowed to opposing quarterbacks for the season, and 7 quarterbacks have at least 300 passing yards against Atlanta, and 5 have scored at least 3 total touchdowns. So, like again, everyone has bad games, bad days, and Justin Herbert, he should be fine. He should be fine. Again, you're not going to catch them all, But so again, now going back to what I was saying earlier, this guy, you see him? It's playoff season. What's one thing that he's good at? It's playoff games. He is good for the crunch. And we're getting down to the end of the season. I know I don't know if they're close. I know they're on the fence for playoff contention, I believe. I could be wrong. I have too many stats and things flying around for me to make a logical thought. But you gotta have them. If you can get them, you snag them. It's getting near the end of it's getting down to crunch time for getting a playoff spot. And this is what Brady does. This is what he knows how to do. He knows how to play good football. And this is exactly when you need him. But he needed a bye week and, be able to recharge. Even though this is a new team for Brady this year, he's scored at least 23 points in 3 of his past 5 games coming off of a bye week in general. This is a good matchup for him against the Vikings, who have an inexperienced secondary and a less than stellar pass rush. 6 quarterbacks have at least 280 passing yards against Minnesota, and 5 quarterbacks that have at least 3 passing touchdowns. And Brady also scored 27 fantasy points in his past 2 afternoon games. So sometimes you could be a night owl, or you could be a day guy. I mean, I've been up since 2:00 this morning because I don't sleep for shit. That's the honest truth. But so Brady shows some promise during the daytime. Some people like the sunshine, I guess. I don't know. So moving right along, go with, for another running back situation, Wayne Gellman. Now, again, I said last week, my fellow Americans, I'm very sorry. I doubted Washington against Seattle. I thought that Washington would get manhandled. Not Washington, that New York would get manhandled by the Giants. I figured Seattle would manhandle the Giants, and they won. So I expected Gilman to struggle. He had with Colt McCoy under center, but he was awesome. It was one of the best rushing performances he had this year. He had 135 yards, 16 carries. I didn't like that he didn't have a catch. And then Alfred Morris stole 2 of his touchdowns, but what Gilman's done as a replacement to Devontae Freeman, who's out with an ankle injury, comes in the week 14 with at least 6 games in a row with at least 12 points, including 6 touchdowns over that span. And he's going to stay hot. Like I said, he's rolling that dice. He's rolling hot. He's going to be hot against the Cardinals, who've allowed 5 rushing touchdowns in their past 3 games. So there you go. I kind of hurt me to say that. I know Joe Butler's watching, Wayne Gallman. He never told me how to say his name right, but that hurts. It hurts. Right here. Right here. Oh, God damn you. Anyhow, moving along to the other backup running back I would suggest is Jonathan Taylor out of Indy, going against Las Vegas today. He's hot. He should continue this week against the Raiders. Who the Raiders have allowed a running back to score in 3 games in a row, including 5 total touchdowns over that span. In his past 2 games against Green Bay and Houston, Taylor has at least 16 total touches, 114 yards, 3 targets and 3 catches. He scored a touchdown against the Texans last week, and this is a player that you've been waiting for all season, coming from Houston. So, any comments, concerns, questions? Like I said, I'll answer them the best I can answer them, but Monahan is the Swami for that one. He's the Rain Man of fantasy football, as I've said. That's right. 13 touchdowns all season, but can only do the best I can do. Let's see here. What you say? Who's this? Who's saying this? It depends on who. It depends on who else you have. I mean, if you have something, if you have a potential, if you have the potential of getting someone better, yeah. If you have someone on your bench that's equal or better, go for it. I wouldn't get rid of a player unless he's absolute dumpster fire, or he's just unless you have someone better in the wings. Just because points are points, no matter how you look at it. So you might want to. Use caution, especially in this time frame. Use caution on dumping players if they had a poor week or a poor 2 weeks. Again, check out the matchups on who they're playing. So I appreciate that there. Jose Vega. Why do I know that name? Oh, thank you for asking. Hopefully I could answer. Again, Monahan's the more of the go-to guy. He knows I know every player with every name. I know the name of Caffrey. I'm drawing a blank on which one. So thank you anyway. So who was I getting to? Jonathan Taylor. So we're done with Jonathan Taylor. All right. Moving right along. Thank you, Jose. I'm sorry if that didn't help you any, but that's out of my personal advisement. Don't drop a player until you can get someone. Make sure they're not on a waiver or anything of that nature. Make sure you can lock the deal before you drop a player, and then you have an empty spot in your bench, and then you're doing the mad scramble to find someone. So moving on now. There we go. Wide receiver, little wide receiver. Robbie Anderson. Hi, I'm Robbie. This ludicrous looking motherfucker. He's fallen into a lucky spot here. You'll know about. I didn't check the injury report before I started this because I'm setting up for my for a very Barfy Christmas, so I hadn't had a chance to do any of the extra shit that Monahan does. Literally about 2 minutes before we aired this, I had a audio issue, so I did not check the injury report. But I don't know the status of DJ Moore or Curtis Samuel, who was out as of Wednesday. But they could be out this week against the Broncos. And the Broncos just lost AJ Boy to a suspension for the rest of the season. So, and Anderson has performed really well when Moore and Samuel were healthy also. So, and he scored at least 11 points in all 3 of the, he scored 11 points in all but 3 games this year. Broncos haven't allowed a receiver to score in the past 2 games against Narlands and Kansas City, but it seems because Tyreek Hill could have had 2 touchdowns against Denver in week 13. I like Anderson, and even if Moore or Samuel play, but it'd be great if he's out. If they're out, And here's a guy that Monahan really likes, Cole Beasley. I know Monahan always talks about him. Since John Brown is out with an ankle, is now missed 4 games with an ankle injury this season. Beasley's averaging 17.8 points over that span. He scored last week 28 points against San Fran, 9 catches, 130 yards, a touchdown, and 11 targets. And the Steelers secondary could be banged up this week with Joe Hayden out with a concussion. Steve Nelson's out with a knee injury, and he's been battling injuries all year. Stephon Diggs should also take advantage of Pittsburgh's defense. Those guys are out, but Beasley is also worth starting on a low-end number 2 receiver for both leagues, for both types of leagues. That's what I got for that. Now, I know we do a breakout flex player or things of that nature, but I do want to say, again, it's playoffs. It's playoff time, getting ready for that playoff mode. So, you got this is when the veterans shine. And so I'm going to say, if you can get them, get them. I checked to all the fantasy boards and things of that nature. And it's that time of year. It's that time of year, kids. You'll see him. You'll see Gronk just break out. He comes off a bye week again, so now they're amped up in charge, ready to go. And hopefully he'll pick up, because when week 12 he had 6 catches, 106 yards, 7 targets against Kansas City, and he scored at least 13 points in 5 of his past 7 games. Eric Kendricks has a calf injury. He's all banged up for the Vikings, which should help Gronk just mow over them, because he's a freaking beast. He is a big beast. Now, no bets this week. No bets for the rest of the year. Why? Because it's Christmas. Buy your kids some damn presents. You want to spend a little money, a little holly jolly? You can always donate to the show. We greatly appreciate it. But don't bet. You got, because you know what's going to happen. You're going to go a little, you're feeling a little lucky. You're going to bet a little extra. And then next thing you know, you just lost all that money that you thought, oh, maybe I'll win a few bucks, could buy the kids an extra little game here for the new Xbox or whatever the hell you got. And now you're screwed. Now you're out some money. So just don't do it. Make some buddy bets with your buddies for $10 here, $10 there, but don't be going crazy with the betting for the rest of the year. Especially with COVID ramping up all over the country. COVID, you don't want to see yourself get screwed out over something stupid. But so, this is actually a short episode this week. Oh, sorry there. Hello there. Go home, Mom. You're drunk. So that being said, we'll probably get one more episode in, maybe one more live stream before the end of the year. No, we won't, because Monahan will be on his honeymoon next week. So maybe if you enjoyed it, please let me know. Like I said, Monahan's more of the Swami person. I'm just a guy that sits here making jokes and there, kids. Also, be sure to check us out on anchor.fm/BATBB, Barfy and the Bass Brigade. Share us with your friends. Every Tuesday we do a podcast. It gets released Tuesday night, Wednesday morning. You can get that on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Google, Overcast.com, Your Canooter or My Computer, all the fun websites, yourmothersass.net, another good one. Check us out. Let us know what you think. We have Very Barfy Christmas coming up. I think it'll be released next week, depending on how fast I can edit everything down. And if not, we don't do this again until after the New Year. Happy New Year, happy holidays, and to all my Hebrews and Shebrews out there, happy Hanukkah. All right, guys, be safe, and wear your damn mask.